Tabby Cat
I
can
was
tell
just
young.
watching a show earlier this evening, and my husband was asking me, well, if something like that really happened to you, how would you react to it? Well, I'd probably immediately go running toward that noise. That's what I would do. And
There
you
you
wouldn't
go.
go running out of there? No. My first reaction would be to go look to find out where the
What?
noise came from.
Right, or what caused it? Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's my theory. That's what I do. I've been on investigations where there was a sudden sound from a room we had just vacated, and I start heading right back, and they're like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "Where the sound just came from. Where do you think?"
yeah, I want to know. Yeah, I want to know where it came from. What happened? Or, like, if something happens and you hear an EVP, not an EVP, I'm sorry, if you hear a sound or if you hear a voice in your ear, and then suddenly you totally freak out and you leave instead of staying there and asking questions. Why are you there in the first place if you're not there to get answers? It's
Yeah.
not going to do you any good to freak out and leave at the slightest little noise. But then it makes for good viewing, seeing people
Exactly.
freak out.
Well, it's like I mentioned before that I was at a girlfriend's house, and I knew that there was a ghost, but I hadn't experienced it. And I was in the kitchen by myself. Everyone was asleep in bed. I was like, I just gotta get a drink of milk or something. And I'm in the kitchen by myself, and as I'm drinking the milk, right in my ear, a few inches from my ear, I hear a female voice go, "Hey," clear as bell. And all I could think of is, oh, she snuck up, my girlfriend snuck up on me. And I turned to face her, and there was no one there, and I did a slow 180. I'm like, I'm by myself. And I'm thinking, and I'm so busy ruling out what it probably was, and that I was like, oh, I wonder if that was her ghost. And I went in and I said, have you been here the whole time? She goes, yeah. I said, I think your ghost just introduced herself to me. But I didn't jump out of my skin, because I didn't think, oh my God, something, I just like, oh, try and sneak up on me, do you? So, but yeah,
Oh,
I had a
I
I
ghost.
never
was in
understood.
a
Yeah,
bathroom.
Go ahead,
I
Barbara.
never understood why people did that. Give us a sign of your presence, and when they do, it's like they freak out, and it's like, uh, isn't that
Yeah,
what you were after
why?
to begin
Yeah.
with? Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
they're there to get evidence, and when they start getting evidence, they want to scream, holler, run. Oh, did you hear that? Oh. And that's
Mm-hmm.
I just you know.
No, the freakiest thing I ever had happen. I was at in Gettysburg, and I was in a location. I went into the bathroom. The place was known to be haunted. Walked into the bathroom and finishing the paperwork, and a male voice says, "I'm in here." And I just looked over to my right and I said, "Well, you better get the blank out." And they left. So I left left the bathroom and went out to tell the people in the location what had happened. They said, "Oh yeah, this person shows up every now and then." Yeah, I could have freaked out, but hey, what am I supposed to do? Go running out there with my drawers down around my legs? I
Yeah.
don't think so.
No.
But as soon as he says, "Well, I'm in here," well, you better get the blank out.
yeah. I came across a couple of buildings in downtown LA that are haunted that I came across by accident. One had I was in an empty bathroom and a toilet flushed, and then a male voice sighed in like relief, and I was like, I didn't hear anybody come in, and I looked down, there are no feet. I jump out of the stall after the sigh, no one's in there but me, and I asked the historical society person, I understand there's been some haunting. She goes, oh yeah, there's cold spots and voices, and people don't go in the cellar after dark. And I said, is there anything with that main bathroom over there? And she goes, oh, yeah, you'll hear voices and toilets will flush themselves. And I said, well, you can talk to someone else who's had that happen. But in another building in downtown LA that I was working in the early morning hours, I was in a huge empty hallway with a beautiful marble Art Deco floor. And every few mornings, I could hear a high-heeled woman walking, even when I was standing still. and I mentioned it to one of my supervisors, and I was just asking, have you experienced anything interesting? She's like, "You've heard the woman in the hallway, haven't you?" And one morning I just waited, and the footsteps kept coming. They turned the corner facing me, walked right up beside me, and then stopped. And I didn't jump out of my skin. I was like, "That is so cool."
Yeah.
Yeah. I would be the weirdest ghost hunting show. I would, like you say, I would just be.
No,
That's what
no,
it is.
you'd be very authentic. You'd be very authentic, Jeff. You
That's why
wouldn't
I would never
be
get
a
one.
strange show. You'd be authentic.
Well, we've had people who've had shows, and they say people are directed by their producers saying you need to say it's demonic. You need to say it's demonic, and that drives me crazy when they're like, "Oh, maybe it's demonic." I'm like, I'm pretty darn sure it isn't.
So, Barbara, I know.
It's never demonic.
Have you ever actually, other than the few times I guess you was on the aircraft carrier and a couple other places, have you ever wanted to actually go on an investigation?
Well, those places were
Well,
investigations.
I know, but I mean on a real one, not with a group of people.
I suppose so. Yeah, it's just in California. Northern California, you just don't do that.
Hmm.
Um,
So,
Why? Why?
There's
What's so
really
different
nothing.
about California?
Number one, the people up here don't have calls that pretty much say that, or they're afraid to, or it's not hip, or you know,
hmm.
it just doesn't
Wow.
happen here. Yeah.
It's a San Francisco cultural thing.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. And, trying to get on any place that could be requires an arm and a leg. You can't go to Alcatraz and stay overnight unless you are pre-selected to do that. And to do that, you have to have so many number of hours doing work for them, voluntary work for them, in order to be able to stay overnight. So it's a lot of hoops to go through, and very expensive.
Well,
So you just don't.
well, that's the way it is on just about any place anymore. Once something is featured on one of the shows, you really have a hard time being able to book a private investigation at these places unless you've got deep pockets. And that's a shame. It really is, because there are some places that I would really, really want to go. Ohio Reformatory is one place I would like to go. Waverly Hills is another I would like to go. But you can't touch these places unless you give people big bucks. And it's bad.
See, on one hand, it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, it kind of weeds out the people that are just looking for cheap thrills. On the other hand, it also weeds out the people that are really, really serious, but spent so much money on equipment that they can't afford your prices.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been trying to get Henry to go to Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in West Virginia. If you go on a private investigation, it's a lot better. If you go on the public investigations, there's just too many people. There's 4 floors and umpteen wings, but, you can be on the first floor, and if people are acting stupid up on the 4th, you can hear it. But to do a private investigation at Trans-Allegheny, oh, Henry, you would love it. I can almost guarantee you're going to see something there. That's how great that place is.
It is, but the only problem with that place is it's big and there's a whole lot of walking.
Yes, that's the advantage. You have to have either good legs, good knees, good lungs. But I can guarantee you, once you get up at least on one floor, or at least even to just being on the first floor, where the Civil War section is, you could spend half the night in just that area alone and not have to really uh, do stairs. You just have to walk down a hallway. But that place is seriously haunted. Seriously haunted. I had an ancestor that actually died there right after the Civil War. He was put in there for what we now know as PTSD, and he ended up contracting pneumonia and passing away. And he's buried on the premises.
Wow. Now, you've had relation everywhere in the world, seems like.
Oh yeah, I've got relatives all over the world.
So, um, let's see. I know things is starting to open up a little bit with the coronavirus, and I don't know if people's actually been able to get back out and actually start doing an investigation. I don't know how much Gettysburg's opened up, um, but do you think that uh, spirits are anxious for people to start coming back around or not?
Personally, I think some places are probably glad that there's nobody around. There's a couple of places that I had been to um, on a regular basis up until a little more than a year ago. Um, Henry, you're aware of the people that I used to investigate with.
Right.
And that particular location, I know perfectly well that they're probably sitting back saying, thank you. We're tired of this. Because the last few times that I was at that location, nothing happened. And I kept getting the impression from a few of them that were there that was like, really? We're going to go through this again? Seriously? We're going to go through this again? And yet, places like Gettysburg and Antietam, those soldiers actually look forward to people coming there. That's the only time that they're ever really noticed or acknowledged
Or sought out.
is when people come there and try to talk to them. So yeah, that's a possibility. And like Craig, he's there every day,
Oh yeah.
because he lives right there
Right.
on the battlefield. So he not only takes his photographs, but he walks around and does things. Now he admits that he's not sensitive, but he's very much aware that the place is haunted.
Right.
But he doesn't go onto the battlefield to talk to the spirits. He's there for the calm, for the peace, for himself, and also his photography.
Right.
But he does admit that there's times that that place is seriously active and times when it is not. And there are some areas on that battlefield where hardly anybody goes. The tourists just don't pay any attention to it.
Right.
They're more interested in the big places, like Big Round Top, Little Round Top, Devil's Den,
Right.
those sort of places. And yet there are places all over that area that are so little known that the spirits that are there actually welcome you. They're like, hey, somebody's here. Somebody wants to talk. Now, the last time that I was in Gettysburg for an investigation, I was there with Donald Allison.
Right.
And we went to a location very little traveled, hardly anybody ever goes to. It's like on the outskirts of the battlefield. And we parked, and it was starting to get toward dark, and he walked down this hill. And as soon as he walked down this hill, I saw somebody with him. And I walked up very, very carefully, very quietly, and I said, Donald, do you have any idea who it is that's standing next to you? And he says, oh, he's here with me all the time. Every time I
Oh,
come here, he shows up. I said, really? He says, yeah, every time I'm here, he shows up. Why, I don't know, but he's here.